Welcome! We have a Doffy guide now for the EB03 format. Really exciting. The first one, we're going to kick it off with Rosinante. Let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Now, it's been a little bit since I've got a guide to you guys, and the reason is I've been doing a lot of back-end work, trying to find all of the matchups and a lot of the percentages on it. New format, new data. Here we go. So this one here, the EBO format, so far this data is being taken from the TCG ranked website. This was just found in a Reddit. There's a link there if you do want to check that out. But essentially it's all here anyway. Just wanted to reference and give credit to the people that are doing this work too. So we can see for the EB03 format, a lot of this data here, it is a little bit skewed. Be aware of this. The Heroine Cup at the moment is been happening around the world, and a lot of people are focusing on the female leaders that you can use in that cup as opposed to the other strong leaders. So we can see that Doffy is not in this list, but don't be disparaged because the list is not about the strongest decks of the format. The list is about the most used, the most frequently used decks in the format. Doffy is just below, but Doffy has a higher win percentage than some of these decks, so just need to throw that out there. So you can see that these are the ones that we're going to face the most. This is important. Nami at the top, good win rate as well. So Nami at the top, we've got the highest win rate still with EM. EM is still the strongest deck there is. Then you've got Rosinante is a really, really strong one. This is what this guide's about, Rosinante, because it is such a strong leader. I'm not going to dive into any more on this list here. We don't really need to talk about the format more. I will try and cover, I don't know, maybe each leader of this guide. There's some that I'm probably not going to touch because I don't think we need an update. Our EMU list, nothing happening from the EB03 format for EMU, so let's not touch that. Yeah, so I'd still want to cover Vivi. There are some other ones. If there's a leader that you want me to cover, let me know. I've had some requests for Vivi. Foxy was another request. Not sure how I'll go finding the matchups I need for Foxy to actually do a guide, but I will try and cover a video. But if there's anything that you want to see, drop it in the comments and I'll see what I can do. And also, while you're at it, if you haven't subscribed and you feel like subscribing, I try and do these a lot, try and really break down everything that we're, going to encounter in these decks. So if you're up for that, if you want to see more, hit that sub button. I'd appreciate it. And I'd love to see you, in these upcoming videos and interact with you guys in the comments. So let's have a look at some more data here. All right, this next lot of data, it's a lot to go through, but essentially we have currently, at the time of recording this, Doffy is win rate. It's 52.2% on the sim. Really high. This is just the average win rate, not into Rosinante. So we are doing a lot better than some of those decks on that last list, just so you know. In terms of games, we've had like 8,000 games. So this is the reason why we're not at the top. Something like Vivi has had 12,000 games, but as I said, the reason why Vivi's getting played so much is because of this Heroine Cup. I think once that sort of subsides, you might have some players retain her as a leader, but as a whole, I don't think she's strong enough that we're going to keep seeing her, which is good news because she is actually pretty hard for us to beat. If you have a look at this data here, what this data is, it's the Doffy matchup data. So this data here is our win rate into these decks, and I've put the worst ones at the top, the best ones at the bottom. You can see here our worst matchup is Crocodile, and this is no surprise. Crocodile is so hard for us to do. I do have a guide for it. It helps you win more, but it is still a very hard matchup. This one here, the Rosinante. The Rosinante is another very hard matchup for us, the second hardest matchup there is. But once again, this data is coming from the sim. It is coming from the most used decks on the sim, essentially. And a lot of the decks on the sim, they don't run exactly the same package I do. And I think this is very important to be aware of, because they've got down here Ace is one of the next hardest matchups. I don't find Ace that hard because of the tech that I use in my deck. It's not a trouble. And I think this is a very important point. If you are running a certain way, some of these matchups are going to be harder than others. And I like to run basically my matchup. So if we have a look at the last slide, so the matches that we find in this slide here, I would rather have my tech geared for these matchups as opposed to other matchups. I'm not going to tech in for Crocodile because Crocodile is not going to be one of the most frequent decks that I see. I do want to be teched up for Nami. I do want to be teched up for Rosie. I do want to be teched up for Ace. I do want to be teched up for Emu. You know, Boa, Mihawk, Luffy's just a given. But essentially, we need to be ready for these matchups, not the ones that we see less frequently. So with that out of the way, let's talk about these matchups here. So Rosinante here, we have a 32.8% win rate. This isn't great, but I want to redirect you to actually Moria now. Moria here, we have a 52.9% win rate. And if you recall, at the start of the last format, when the op14 format, we had a losing win rate into this Moria. But once we start to understand how the deck plays out and how to beat it, our win rate is now gone up. I think this is going to be a similar situation for the Rosinante here. Once we understand actually how the deck is working, what it's trying to do, we actually have a decent matchup into this deck. It's not a winning matchup. It's a more of a 50-50 type matchup. And we have everything we need in this guide to have that knowledge in beating this deck. So let's have a look at, firstly, our deck. Okay, so I lied. We're going to have a look at the general strategy first. And general strategy is a really simple one. First of all, we want to go tall and we're going to want to go wide as possible, as tall as possible, as quickly as we can. Once we have a bit of a board happening, we lock down the board with 10 costs and we attack in. The 10 cost lock is really good because we don't have to win that turn. We can set up for the following turn. And if we can chain these 10 costs back to back, chaining the 10 costs is basically a guaranteed win if you can do that. Do that, and because their bodies are low enough that we can lock them down, we can't KO them. KOs aren't really an effective strategy into this deck. We just want to deal with it as quickly as can with bigger bodies on the field. We need to protect our bodies. We don't need to protect with the Virgo because they're not doing any KO stuff. We need to protect with counter, and sometimes we might not swing. We need to pick our battles in this matchup. It is a very difficult one to navigate because there's no linear path with this deck. We are each playing against each other, countering what each other are trying to do. Let's have a look at our deck now. Alright, so I've really tried to simplify the deck component of the guide since the last lot of videos that I've been doing. In this, I'm going to divide it up into the core deck and then, or what I consider the core deck, and then tech options. So these are the cards which I think should be essential in every single Doffy deck. Here they are. So we got Sugar. If most of these you'll know, but I'm going to cover everything just in case you are new to the Doffy deck and just getting started. So the Sugar is a really great card. So if you want to jump to the next page, feel free to do it if you're already familiar with all of these cards on the page here. So first off, Sugar. Sugar is a searcher, really good. One cost to get her down, another one to turn her sideways and search the top 5 of your deck and pull out a Don Coyote Pirate. Dellinger is also a searcher, but it's done on KO. So he can ramp as well, but basically you neg one from your leader to redirect into the Dellinger, getting a block, and then once the Dellinger is KO'd, you get that Don back and get to do a top 5 search. So really good there too. I really love Dellinger. There's so many times where I'm doing a search and I might even just pull out a Dellinger because this one cost can block. Really, really strong. Just a one cost blanket. I'm gonna protect myself and pull out another card from my deck. Can't emphasize how strong a card this is. The Viola is another one. So I think this is very strong. Most decks only run one of them in their deck. I think you need to have 2 to 3 personally. And this is a core card I find into Ace. It's not going to be terribly useful into this matchup, into the Rosinante, but it is a core card. The reason why it's so strong is when you neg one, you can block. It's a blocker, so you can block, and on KO, neg one, grab an event from your trash and put it into your hand. And when you're pairing this with, say, the Nora Beam, which we'll get to soon, you can defend a lot. So you're blocking one, next attack, Nora Beam it, might be enough to defend it and rest down something else. With this one Viola, you're essentially able to defend 3 things. So I find that super useful. Then you still got your leader effect up your sleeve. You've got so much that you can do defensively if you have a Viola. Uso Hachi is a 2k counter. It is also a card that can rest in a 4 cost or less if you've got 8 Don on your turn. Sugar is really good. Once again, not the best into this matchup. Uso Hachi can be useful into the matchup because there are 4 cost blocker laws that you can just rest down and then punch through. So do keep them, reserved, but he may just end up being a counter here. We've got other ways to get through. The Sugar is really strong. On KO, you can turn it into something else. In this particular matchup, it's not as necessary because you're not dealing with a KO deck. If your opponent does a lot of KOs, you can basically hide the character you want behind the Sugar, because once the Sugar is KO'd, then you bring it out. Once you've avoided that KO effect, you redirect into the Sugar, bring out what you want out, and then you've basically protected it without a Virgo. This also works well into green decks that are turning things sideways and attacking. Protect it with the Sugar that way. Monet is a very strong card in this deck. We essentially, if we want to chain 10 costs, we need to use the Monet ideally to do it. This is the only core card we have that can help us chain the 10 costs. And the reason why the 10 cost is hard to chain, let's jump to the 10 cost now. The 10 cost here, the 10 cost Doffy is very strong. So you play your 10, on play you can neg 3, and you've got a choice of 2 options. Choice number 2 is you can KO an 8 cost or less. Now, where we've got lots of targets, we can do that into the Rosinante deck. We don't actually want to do it into the Rosinante deck because Rosinante, he has a effect where he can choose to lose a life and protect a character on board, a Law or Rosie, or it might be just Law on board. I think it's just the Law. Anyway, they only really play the Law anyway, so it can protect a Law, and they do lose a life, but if you go to KO a blocker, for instance, the blocker's going to stay, and you've sort of just wasted that KO effect. We want to go for option 1. Option 1 allows you to prevent 3 7 cost or less characters from resting until the end of their turn. On your turn, they can't rest it until the end of their turn. If they have a blocker to block, you have to rest that blocker. So they can't block, they can't attack. 3 characters, and most of their characters are 7 or less. In fact, I think all of them are, unless they're running a different kind of list, you will be able to rest down anything on their board. That is so strong. This is a key card for our win condition against this deck. We want to rest down their board, rest down particularly their blockers, but also the other key cards which are going to attack you. Rest them down so you don't get hit, and then you can attack through. So, because you're negging 3 from this effect, on your next turn, you'll gain your 2 from the start of the turn. will bring you up to 9. That means you won't be able to chain this card. You need a way to ramp in between to chain it, but you won't have any Don up to ramp. So one way we can do this is we can use our leader effect, neg 1. So when we're on 7 Don, we can neg 1, go down to 6 on our opponent's turn, and redirect an attack into Monet. And Monet has an on KO effect, draw 2, trash 1, then ramp 2, rested. So you get yourself back up to 8, and then turn starts, you bring yourself up to 10. She allows you to ramp into this so you can chain the 10 costs. Really, really strong. Can't emphasize how needed this is. There is another card we could use, or a couple other cards we could use, but this is going to be the main one. Baby 5, really strong card, not particularly strong in this matchup. It is a ramp card. Monet is also a ramp card. On play, she ramps 1. Same with Sugar, so we might use these just for their ramp effects. Baby 5 also ramps 1 active. Really strong. On KO, you can -1 Don and gain a life. And if you use this leader effect and the Baby 5 effect, that's -2 to gain 1 life. Still really strong. Converting this Don that you recur each turn into life isn't bad, but it's not going to be the most handy strategy for this matchup. Virgo is generally a really good card. He has 2 very strong effects. First effect, he has a blanket. If you have a Don Coyote pirate that is removed from the field, instead you may return 1 Don from your field to your Don deck. So strong, protecting basically all of the things here, not Uso Hachi, everything else, blanket protection. Mentioned here, Rosinante doesn't really go for that removal, so not something that we really need in this matchup, but his other effect, when attacking, you can -1 Don and neg 2000 from any character. This isn't too bad because this does allow you to take down targets on the board. It's not the most ideal card in this matchup though. Next one we want to talk about is the Doflamingo, the 8 cost. Now this is an essential card for this matchup. I mentioned our general strategy is we want to go wide and tall as quickly as possible. And this is where this card is kind of good because it costs 8, has an on play, -1 Don, return a Don from your field to your Don deck, so you'll be at 7. But what you can do is now play a 5 cost or less Don Coyote Pirate. And we have plenty of options here. You can see Virgo is going to be one of the strongest because he is 7,000 power. Monet isn't bad as well because she'll get you a Don back straight away, and she's still a 6,000, and you do want Monet because she can chain. So I'd be going for one of these two, or possibly a Rosinante, which is a tech card, which we'll see in a sec. Very strong. You know, you might even want to play 2 of these in this matchup if you can. You just want to go wide and tall as much as possible. This is a very essential card in this match. 10 cost we mentioned. Can't emphasize, you need this if you want to win. Our Divine Departure, I think, is a core card as well. It basically, it's got 2 effects. The first effect, you need a Don attached, but if you got a Don attached, you rest 5 other Don cards, and then you can neg 8,000 power from any opponent. This isn't particularly needed in this matchup, but you might use it. It does come up. And when you don't use this main effect, you can use the counter effect, which is basically the 0 cost counter. You discard another card and you can add 3,000 power to someone in the battle. All right. Really strong, particularly when you've got all these cards in your deck that don't have counter. This just turns them into not a brick. And Nora Beam, this is a very strong card because it allows you to rest down anything, no cost related. You pay your 2, you neg 1 from your hand, from your Don deck, you neg 1 back to your Don deck, and yeah, rest anything down. So strong. it stops there because they have a go wide sort of strategy as well. It just limits the attacks that you're going to have coming in. Really strong in this matchup as well because you can target their blockers. You target the blocker, then you've got more coming into them. There's a lot more pressure. Very, very strong card. All right, now let's have a look at the tech options. So here are our tech options. Now, some of these you go, well, is that tech or is that core? Rosinante is definitely one of those ones where you're going, is that tech or is that core? I think it's probably a core card-ish. Same with treble. Most Doffy decks are running it. The reason I haven't put it in core is because I don't think it's essential generally for our win strategies, and not every game is going to play them. I think Rosinante is probably closer to being core than treble. Treble is used in most games as a 2k counter. Rarely, I'm rarely ever playing this card as a character. It's always a 2k. Rosinante is a very strong card. I recommend having him in your deck, probably as a 2 of or a 3 of. This card here, very strong into this matchup because we can use the Nora Beam. The Nora Beam is a strong card in the matchup, arresting down their blockers, and Rosinante, what he allows you to do is play your 10 cost, still restand 2 Don, so you can Nora Beam on their turn as well. So that means if there is, say, a board of 5 characters, and you rest 3 of them down with your 10 cost, one of them attacks, you can still rest the other one down. Now you're only dealing with 2 attacks and one can be redirected. You are able to deal with a board very easily with the Rosinante into this matchup. I do think Rosinante is a great option. If you're going to play down the 8 cost Doffy, this Rosinante I think is a very, very strong candidate to choose in that option. Treble here, he's still a 2k in this deck. You don't really need him, but getting the Don back can help. The Rosie Law, I mean, this is something that the Rosinante plays as well. I think this can be a strong card in the deck into this matchup. I do think though the Rosinante is generally hitting for that 7,000, 8,000 power, and it is going to be able to take this card out fairly easily. So don't put all of your effort into this card, I think, in this matchup, because it could fall short. Lin, I love this card. This card's so good because on KO, -1, you can gain a life. Your opponent doesn't want to attack into it because of it, and it is a 7,000, so it's a big commitment if they do attack into it anyway. And what I love about it is you're always able to attack into the opponent. The Rosinante in this matchup, he will often become a 6,000 power leader on your turn. Having something that can just attack into it without adding any extra Don, really, really strong. Sunji, not a bad card for this matchup also, because of his ability to rest down at 8 cost or less. You're going to be able to rest down anything on their board if you've got the Sunji. I'm personally not running it in this matchup, but it is still a great tech card. Katakuri is another really good tech card in general because he is a blocker, 8,000 blocker. Like this one here, he doesn't get protection, but if you're got a Rosinante player that's just dominating your locals and you just want to tech in for that specific one, this is probably a better option than the Rosinante Law. I think generally Rosinante Law is better because it gets protection from Virgo, but in this matchup, you're not going to need Virgo protection because they're not KOing anything. In that case, this Katakuri is going to be a stronger option. You get Don back at the end of your turn so you can chain 10 costs. It also allows you to attack and then restand so you can block with it the following turn. So you're going to get a lot more value out of this Katakuri than the Rosinante Law in this particular matchup. But generally speaking, I think the Rosinante Law is a generally better card. Now, Pika is a card I do think you should consider for this matchup. He is a very strong one, and I think even just for this meta, because what Pika allows you to do is at the end of your turn, you get a Don back active, and every turn you're getting a Don back active. This means you're able to ramp into, say, a 10 cost quicker if you're going second. it also means that if you play your 10 cost at the end of your turn, you're getting one back active. That's a Don you can use, and this here is then going to allow you to chain the 10 costs. Really, really strong. Baby 5 is not a bad option. She's a 2k counter. I've covered this in a video with her lately. I think it was my last video even. I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in this basket. It is a good card. You do get to ramp. You lose a card from your hand to ramp, and you're going to lose your options to be able to get that early searching happening. So generally speaking, not a great card, but it's a 2k counter, so do consider it. This is another good card, but not for this current meta. Once we go a little bit, lower to the ground, go wider, lower, more aggressive, these aggro decks, this card is going to destroy that because you Don -1 on play and you KO 2 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. This is cool. I really love this. Taking down 2 for 1 card. Very, very strong. Gladius is a interesting tech card. What happens with Gladius is on KO, Don -1, you get to KO or rest a 6000 power body or less, and that's base 6000 power. Really, really strong. You're going to be able to rest down a lot. You won't be able to rest down this blocker lore, but you will be able to rest down their other lores. So you don't need to worry about the KO effect and then protecting it. You can just rest them down. And I like the versatility of this card. Not bad, but we do want to go a little bit taller than what this card offers into this particular matchup. So not going to be the best if you're attacking specifically for the Rosinante. Portia is a good card. Portia will allow you to play out another character. Very, very strong. Being able to play out that second character. You can go from a Portia into a Sugar, 4-cost Sugar, and that 4-cost Sugar could then bring out a Virgo. Really cheap stuff. Being able to, abuse this go wide strategy early with the Portia. Very strong, and she can also search for the Nora beam. She doesn't have any counter, so that is her downfall, but I think once we start to get into these more aggro matchups, she will become more and more relevant. Bullet String, not going to be the best into this matchup. It does give us the plus 4000 for the turn. Sorry, plus 4000 for the battle, and with 2000 of that for the turn. But, being a 7000 power leader, they're still going to be able to hit you with all of their characters, and you're still going to need to defend it all. So it isn't the best card for this particular matchup. Godthread is also something I wouldn't really recommend for this matchup. You can't get the KOs happening into the Rosinante, and you can ramp in much better ways. And lastly, this 1-cost Searcher. It's a decent card. If you are using the picker, I think this 1-cost Searcher does work really well with the picker. Other than that though, it's only looking at the top 3, so you wouldn't choose this Searcher over anything else. Alright, so the way I like to do this is I like to break down everything in the deck into different functions that they really serve. And this will help you pick the right tools for the right situations. This is something I like to do. If you're not too interested in all these tools, then feel free to skip, but you might see some gems along the way. The way I'm trying to do this at the moment is top row are the ones that I've called our core cards. Bottom row are the ones that are those, tech choices. May or may not be in your deck. Ramp on your turn, we have these 3 here. These ones all ramp an active Don. Really good. All going to be great on your going first curve and going second curve. Going second, I like to try and ramp to be able to get to that 10 cost early. Certainly, going first is our generally preferred option, even into the Rosinante match, and in that case, we only need to see one of these to be on track. Ideally, it's going to be Monet. Of the tech options, I think Picker is going to be your strongest option in this match because it's going to get that extra Don at the end of your turn after turn. I think this is going to be a really strong candidate, in the current meta if you are relying on the 10 cost, which in this matchup, we definitely are. Baby 5, you need to discard a card. It's not great discarding a card to play this out. You do ramp 1 active, but doesn't feel great. And it's a 2k counter, so it is a 2k counter. Keep that in your hand, but generally it's not going to feel good if this is the one that you have to play. Rosinante Law does get you ramp, but it's really, I'm going to call it pseudo ramp. It doesn't allow you to get ramp on curve. In this matchup, particularly into the Rosinante matchup, you're not going to get it because they're going to be negging Don in order to play out their stuff. And even if you're able to neg Don, say, with any effect that you've got here, you're still not going to be really able to do this effect to get that Don on curve. It is good when that does happen, if you happen to hit it after the 10 cost. I mean, into the Rosinante, not great, but if you happen to hit it after you've dropped the 10 cost, is really good because you do ramp back up and you get draw from it. And it's a blocker at the 8k level. Really strong overall, but he's not your ramp card for this game. Lin, I don't mind. Lin is pretty good. You do want to get your 8 cost Doffy down. So if you got 8 cost Doffy and Lin in your hand, you don't play the Lin, you play the Doffy. And if you're going first, all you need is one of these ramps. So you want to see this first. If you're seeing this one here, you're already too late to then play the 8 cost. So this isn't going to be great. So of all of these cards here, these 3 are all good. This one's good, rest not good. Let's have a look at ramping on our opponent's turn though. So these are cards that do allow us to ramp on our opponent's turn. The Dellinger isn't really going to happen because usually we have to redirect, an attack into the Dellinger. Not really happening though. Sometimes our opponents do attack into it. If we attack with this into one of their searches, like they have a sugar searcher as well, we might use this to attack into that. They may attack back into us to ramp us. And ramping us can help them, so that could happen, but generally not going to happen. Sugar does not ramp on KO, but what Sugar does on KO is she brings out a character 5 cost or less, Don Coyote type, and maybe you bring out a Monet, maybe you bring out a Sugar, maybe you bring out a Baby 5. These cards here are going to ramp 1 active on play. That is how you ramp on your opponent's turn with the Sugar. Really strong, can catch them off guard, and can potentially bust out that second active Don that you needed to get a Noro Beam active, which they were not anticipating when they originally calculated their sequence of attacks. Alright, Monet is brilliant. Ramping on opponent's turn. On KO, yeah, such a good card. You draw 2, you trash 1 for a start, so you get your card draw. After that, you ramp 2 rested. Such a good card. This is what we need. And these are the cards we need. We need to think about this when we're trying to chain our Doffy, our 10 cost Doffy. This is going to be the central card here. Treble also can. So I'd say Treble is going to be in your deck. Most decks are going to run the Treble as a 2k counter. You can play him out. He's going to be hard to play out. If you do play him out, if you're desperate enough and you play him out, he will allow you to chain the 10 cost, because when you neg 1 Don, like through your leader effect, you get 1 back. And let's say I neg a Don, redirect into Dellinger, I get 1 back for the redirect, and then Dellinger ramps me 1. So all of a sudden, I've turned this Dellinger into an actual ramp card. Really cool there. Now, the Noro and the God Thread are both in here because they have trigger. They can trigger out a active Don, but what's the chance of that happening? You can't control that in this deck. So really rely on the Monet mainly for getting that Don back on your opponent's turn. All right, want to talk about beaters here. We need the beaters to win us the game. We need to use these cards to attack in. There's sort of 2 ways of going about this. Generally speaking, attacking the characters on the board or attacking face. In this instance, we're mostly going to be attacking face. We can attack characters sometimes, but mostly at face. These are the ones that we need to do it. They're going to be the primary attackers in the game. Rely on these 4 here. These are from our core deck. Of our tech options, we can also use these 2 here. I say these 2 not as much because these are ones that our opponent, they kind of don't really, they're not going to stand up for very long. If we attack with this Rosinante, they go, Rosinante is generating a Don every turn, or putting rested Don back up every turn, allowing a Nora beam. I'm going to take this thing out because I've got characters on board which are higher power than this. And when 5 attacks at 8k are coming at this thing, it's gone. You turn this sideways, it's gone. Same with the Bicker, you turn it sideways, it's gone. This has the same power level as the others. You turn it sideways, they might not attack it because you get benefit from it. Virgo, you turn it sideways, it's gone. But it is 1 extra power level above these, so it can last a little bit longer. These 2 here are much harder for them to attack into. They might use a Gamma Knife to reduce its power, but as a whole, they're going to be a little bit more safe. So, you know, you want to build your board with the 8 and 10 cost Doffies because they're the ones that are going to do all the work here. These 2 here are a little bit better to attack in with because unlike these, they're higher power. The 7 is, you know, this level here, it's still able to be taken down, but once again, it's not a card that they want to take down because of its KO effect. And this one here, it's at 8,000 power, so it's a little bit harder. They're going to have lots of bodies on board, 8,000 power that can attack into this, but it's only 1 card from hand using this, so he's going to be a safer attacker here. You're probably better off using this as a beater than a blocker, in my opinion, into this matchup. All right, push through defense. This is a new little subcomponent of cards. I used to call this component the Resters, which we had, you know, the Usohachi, the Sanji, the Nora Beam. But I thought, actually, this Don Coyote here, this Doflamingo, he is a very core card. He allows you to push through in the end for this game here. I think he is very central to your win con. You need this one to win. So what he's doing, he's resting down 3 of your opponents, or basically stopping 3 of your opponent's characters from resting. This will be their blockers primarily. Without their blockers, you can hit through with all of your other bodies. So you want to have your bodies tall enough that you don't need to commit any Don to them to be able to hit that leader. And their leader might be a 6,000 power leader. So need that 6,000 as a minimum to hit through. Usohachi, sort of mentioned, he can rest down some of the 4 cost blockers. Nora Beam can rest down any blocker. It is on opponent's turn, so there's a bit more planning involved with this card. Sanji can rest down anything on their board, and Gladius, it can't rest down their Rosinante Law blocker, it can rest down the other ones. Alright, so let's talk about their key cards. They've got a lot of cards, right? Let's talk about their leader first. We haven't talked about it in this video, and it is a very central thing here. Once per turn, if your Trafalgar Law would be KO'd, you may add the top card of your life pile to your hand instead. So basically, they can protect any of the Law on the board, and this Rosinante and Law is also treated as a Law, so it benefits from the same effect. Now, it does have an activate main effect as well. Once per turn, Don -1, so Don -1. This is an important thing here. During this turn, the next time you play a Trafalgar Law card from your hand with a cost of 4 or more, it will have its cost reduced by 2. So this is very, very central. Essentially, on their 4 Don turn, well, on their 5 Don turn, they can play this out. They can't do it on the 4 Don turn. On their 5 Don turn, they can play this out. Because what happens is they nega Don. So on 5, they nega Don. Now they've got 4, and they can play these for 6 - 2, which is 4. This is for all of their laws, and you can kind of see we've got lots of laws in this deck. This is what it's all centered around. Now it says on KO, it's not through a KO effect. So if we block, if they block with this character here, and it gets taken out, you know, we swing 20k into their leader. They go, I'm going to block it. They block it. They take the life. I mean, would you use the blocker to protect this? No, because you're going to lose the life anyway. But it's not just about the blockers. It's about all of them. And, you know, when you've got a character like this one here that's a base 8000 power that just sticks around on the field that we can't get rid of, you know, we've got some troubles. We have some troubles here. We need to know what this card here does. We need to know what this card here does. These two here are the center pin of their deck. If you can understand what they're doing here fully, you can exploit this and you can take advantage of it. And there is a hint that I'm going to give you right now. Let's have a look first at what this 8 cost here does. Because this 8 cost, remember, it can be played down from 6 Don. We need to be on 7 Don to do it. Or they need to be on 7 Don to do it. But what this one here does, it's a rush. This is important because it comes out and attacks for 6000 right away. After that, activate main. You may trash 1 card from your hand and trash this character. It's okay because you've got an attack off already. Add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Then play up to 1 Trafalgar Law with a cost of 7 or less from your hand. So after doing this effect, they gain a life. They play this out, they gain a life. This is a really, really strong card. They've got an attack, they gain a life, and now they're putting down another law onto the field. It can't be the same law because this is an 8 cost. Even though it cost them less, it's still an 8 cost. So they can't play this one down off itself. But what they do like to play off this one is this card here. So this card here, the 7 cost 8000 power. So at 7 costs, they can play it out. Now here's where the little tip comes in. On play, if the number of Don cards on your field is equal to or less than the number of cards on your opponent's field, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. Then, meaning we still have to meet the pre-effects, then your Don Coyote, Rosinante, and your Heart Pirate type characters get 1000 power till the end of your opponent's turn. So they get ramp, so there's an extra Don they have to play with. They get the ramp, and then everything on their field, including their leader, gets 1000 power until the end of the opponent's next turn. So that means their leader will now be a 6000 power leader for attacking and defending. Very, very strong card. But here's the tip. They need to have equal or less Don than we do. Equal or less Don than we do. So if we're playing our 10 cost and resting things down and we go down to, say, 7 Don, now, you know, at the start of their turn, they're going to gain 2 Don. Their leader effect can neg 1 Don. But they might only be on, say, 9 Don. If they were on 10 Don, they might only be on 9 Don. You know, we need to make sure that their Don is high enough compared to ours. Now, here's where the interesting part is. They want to go first. We don't mind. We probably want to go first generally as well. We want them to go second. The reason why we want them to go second is we don't want them to use their leader effect. We want them to have extra Don so they don't need to use the leader effect. Because if they're using their leader effect to neg Don, then in the late game, they're going to have less Don, and then they can use this effect really freely. Generally speaking, the first one will get the effect off. But what we want to do is make sure that the second one, they don't get that effect off. We want to make sure that last one, when we're going for the kill, we're dealing with a 5000 power leader, not a 6000 power leader. This is what this comes down to. We're not worried about what their board is because we're just going to rest it down anyway. We are worried about the leader. So that is the little tip that I could give you in this matchup, is make sure you understand this card and make sure that you aren't giving them that option to get the extra power by negging yourself. Now here's where you can do it. This one comes out first. This one comes out first with rush and will attack you. When they attack you, you can redirect, neg 1, redirect, use your Norinora beam, another neg Don. Here's where we can go backwards, know what they're on, know the Don, calculate the Don on this one here, make sure you neg enough that this here can't get the effect. That's my tip to you. That'll help you go a long way in this game. Anyway, those two cards, they're the key cards. We also have, you know, some blocker laws here. We got this blocker here and this one here. Be aware, I mean, this one just basically allows them to ramp back up. So, you know, they neg 1, but then they ramp back with this one. And this is something that they will often do. This is good for us. This one here, not so good. They negged on and we lose cards from hand. So we don't like this one here. We do like this one here. They like this one too. That's good. This one here is mostly just a 2k as well. They will play it out. But what happens is later on they might use this card here. I love you. I love you guys. And it gives them 2000 to, you know, the battle. And also allows them to bring back a lore from the trash. That might be this one here. This one here becomes a 2k or a 2k in hand. So it gives them basically 4k in defense. One Don, 4k in defense. Really strong. Or they might be looking for something else which they just want to cycle through. They're the main ones here. Norinora Beam we know. Gamma Knife, it's like a mini Divine Departure. 2 cost, neg 1 Don, neg 4000 power, I think it was. Neg 4000 power from a character. Really, really strong. This is the general cards that we need to be aware of. Let's have a look at the curve here. So as I mentioned, with the curve, they want to go first. Here's sort of what it looks like ideally when they go first is, you know, turn 1, they're playing out a searcher. Ideally, it's going to be this Rosinante. There is also a lore searcher. The next best thing that they could play is the sugar searcher, our sugar searcher, which they can't search on this turn, but on the next turn, they probably will. If they play this card on the next turn, going first. So going first, they've got 3 Don on turn 2. They turn the sugar searcher sideways to use that Don, do their search, then they play this card out because they can neg a Don, neg that Don that they use for the sugar searcher. Then you reduce the cost by 2. This 4 cost is now a 2 cost. They play it out and it ramps a Don. So they're back to 3 and they've established this 6000 power. This is the strength of the deck. They go into the next turn on 5. You know, once again, they might play out a little searcher here. They've got 3 searches for this reason. They play out a 1 cost for cheap. With that 1 Don that they've used, they neg that one away. And then they can play this 6 cost out for 4 cost. And that works out perfectly, right? Once again, they're doing the same thing along the way. They're using a small body for a searcher to build up their hand, effectively use that Don, and the other thing that they might just do is place the Don onto one of these, attack, and then neg that Don away and use it for effect, playing out one of these laws. On this 4 Don turn is when they can start to do this effect where they, you know, ramp a life, get an attack off with this, play this down, make everything big. Making everything big, this is now a 7 base 1000, 6 base 1000, 9 base 1000, all strong stuff. Turn 5 doesn't really matter from here. They're sort of just going with the flow, playing what they need to play. They might double down and do this again. They might bring down some blockers. Their going second curve is going to look very much similar to this, pretty much identical in fact. It's just that they'll have the extra Don, and that extra Don will tend to be used on their characters to attack in. So this is the curve that they want ideally, because it's just a little bit more effective for them. So let's have a look at our curves. Our curves are going to be straightforward as well. This isn't really a game that's won on curve, it's won on the strategy, making sure that you're dealing with that 7 cost lore very effectively. you know, our going first curve, it's sort of standard stuff. We don't have a great turn 2. We're basically just trying to get our searches down early. We're trying to find a ramp card and, you know, going to be one of these ideally on that turn 3. Ideally Monet, get her down so you can use a chaining effect later. Turn 4, we want to get this 8 cost down really, really badly. I think if you are running the Rosinante, the 5 cost Rosinante, 5 cost Rosinante, this is going to be a better card than a Virgo in this particular matchup. If you've got, say, you know, a Nora Beam in hand. The Virgo does give you extra power, so I do like that. Either is going to be great, but the Rosinante is going to restand to Don, which means you can get Don back from this Doflamingo turn after turn, so you can still chain that way as well. And then, you know, turn 5, get this 10 cost down, start that process. You might, instead of playing this, you might go into another 8 cost and save this for the following turn when you've got your board big enough, if you don't have 2 that you can chain. Alright, so our going second curve, it's, you know, no surprises here either. I like to double up on these. I like to try and go for the double ramp into a 10 cost, but here, if we are going to double ramp, you're still going to want to get this 8 cost down anyway and use this 10 cost. Really, the 10 cost is there to lock down their board when we're ready to go either in for the kill, or we know we can set up the kill, try and get, you know, them down to 1 life or 0 life. So the following turn, we can just apply the same pressure again and take it down. All right, so let's jump into a video. I've got one lined up here. This is us going first. So let's check this out. We'll get to see everything we've talked about in action now. All right, so we got Rosie versus Doffy. We get to go first here. Don't like that hand. This isn't bad. We've got the Dellinger and the Sugar. Obviously, Dellinger, best option going first. Dellinger's always the best option, actually. So they get the Sugar Searcher. They get the Search as well. All right. We're going to attack that Sugar with the Dellinger because we can. We don't have much we can do here, but we do have the Sugar, so we will do a Sugar Search, and this is perfect because we can rest this down. When the Rosie does attack us, we can just redirect into the Dellinger. So, and we'll get another Search off with that Sugar later on. But we do want to pressure the life. We want to attack the life as much as we can, get that down. So when they are forced to, you know, use that leader effect and protect one of their laws, not a worry to us. We're just, because, you know, they will have to lose that life to protect that law, putting even more pressure on themselves. This is that classic turn 2 play for them, neg to Don, and so they played the Sugar, used the Sugar effect, and was still able to play a 4-cost character. Really strong stuff from the Rosie here. And we're going to grab this Sugar here because it does allow us to do a chaining of the 10 costs. We do have 1 10 cost in hand. We only need 1 ramp to get us where we need to be, and that will be with the Monet. So this is working out really, really well for us. This is textbook right now. And so our plan is we need to go wide on the board. We need to get big characters that can just hit a 6k leader, you know, right across the board. We want to have like at least 4 attacks of 6k, and having their life down to 2 now, I think we are in a really good position. If we can get the 10 cost down, not right now, if we can get the 10 cost down, we should be able to take this game. They've got heaps in hand. It'd probably take 2 turns to take out the hand and life together. And so yeah, next turn we definitely want to go for the 8. They get the 6 cost Rosie Law down, and they can still search. This is the value of that Rosie. You just get, you know, an extra 2 Don of value every turn. Alright, so we're definitely going to 8 cost, so we've got no Don left over. Let's send the 5 in. They block that, and they'll probably block... yeah, let's just attack this. So we should be able to get one thing down here. Get rid of this sugar now. And, you know, we could go Virgo or we could go the Rosie there. Either is a good choice. Either is a good choice. I'm choosing the Virgo because we have a little bit more pressure with that Virgo. We might need to actually attack one of these blockers. And because they don't have a huge board, it might be the best thing here. The extra negging of 2000 power is more cards from hand here. We don't want to lose our Monet just yet. We want to save that for chaining in case we get to do that. So I was going to say, we're expecting the 8 cost to come in, the secret law, and into Monet. As I said, we don't want to lose Monet. We'll have to use some counter from hand. I won't use the redirect just yet because we might have, you know, the 7 cost come in, and then all of a sudden we've got bigger characters on the field. And yep, so they got the heal. And this is at life, so we're just going to take that. And this is also at life. Can't redirect it freely. I think we just we'll have to take this one as well. Okay, so we have another 8 cost, and as I said, the strategy is to go wide and tall. So the 8 cost will allow us to do that. And they're a 6000 power leader right now too. So let's attack here. I mean, attacking face would probably be better, but at least, yeah, so they lose a life. They've used the effect now. This is important. They've used the effect now. So we could just, instead of playing the 8 cost now, we can just double down and put a lot of pressure down. Let's get rid of this big blocker. We've got one attached on, so this works straight away. And we could even take down this other law as well. We got 9 Don right now, so we can afford to neg one. And we've still got the Monet to attack too, so this will be 2 cards from hand. And this, yeah, we take that one. All right, that clears it up. This gives us a lot of room, a lot of breathing space, being able to clear the board like that. The other option was we drop the 8 and we just go aggressively, but then it's just like fighting fire with fire. Who's going to win the race? Here we were able to have a decisive, take decisive action, and yeah, it worked out. We can redirect this into Dellinger as well, but we don't know what they're going to do next. I would say that they need to establish something, so it's probably safe to redirect into Dellinger right now. And even if they did throw all their Don on an attack, that's not bad for us. I think that's still a good position for us. So yeah, 9 Don. I would expect the... Okay, yep. They're going for it. So we can't redirect. We could use... We've got enough counter. But remember, we don't need the Virgo for protection in this match. So let's let that go. We've cleared most of the board already. Now we're on 10. We still have the Monet. is all very important. So right now you could see we could drop the 10. And if we drop the 10, we can prevent that 6 from blocking. And they don't have a 6k leader at the moment, so I can still do 3 attacks into them. Doffy will take a card, Monet will take 1 or 2 cards, and Doffy will take 3 cards, unless they take life, of course. So we could probably get, 5 cards from hand, or that with a combination of life. So it might be like, they should take this one, which is great. Getting them in this point here, this is exactly where we want them. Let's just take some cards from hand, dropping the 10 cost now. Now we probably should have not done this attack, because if they just blocked it. So what we'll do the Monet, and we'll just go wide here. Because we can't actually take them, we're just doing more pressure to them. Let's go wide. Let's get this Rosie down. Now we have an engine to keep chaining. So it doesn't matter if the Monet goes as well. But we've got a board that's a bit taller than our opponent. They can't take us down here either. So they could potentially have 4 attackers, but they're not going to have enough to get through us. Yeah, another thing we could have done in that last turn was play the 10 cost and just put a lot of pressure on. But if we did that then and there, we don't have enough on the board, and they could this turn just play down 2 blockers and, survive then that following turn. So I wanted to just, because we weren't going to get lethal, we're going to build our position and just save that 10 cost for when we really need to do it. And now we can get a lot from it. So we're on full Don. It's the question, do we try and save it? I think at this stage, it's not really worth saving. Better to save it for the 8 cost that's rested. And didn't really get much good from that draw, but at least we got them off the top of the deck. And they're searching, so still in a little bit of trouble here. Alright, and that's it. That's all they got here. Alright, we got another one of those. Sugars, that's fine. So this is definitely the turn we play the 10. We can stop this this blocker here and now. We do the first option. We rest down these 3. That's 3 big attackers we've also stopped. My leader can't attack their leader, so just take the sugar with that. Why not? Hit light in here, and they've got the Nora beam. So they do rest one of our characters. We do lose out there, but we should be able to take a life here. Okay, so they're picking up. They should be able to pick up the law that they just had in the trash before, a 2k counter, and play that law as well. So put it in hand, and they took the life, which is odd. Very odd. And yeah, we're surviving this because they've only got 1 attacker. We can redirect it into either the 10 cost, 10,000 power, if we can get it away without using any cards from our hand, or we redirect it into the Rosie so we maintain all our big attackers for this next turn. At the moment, they've only got 1 blocker and no life, so we should be able to take this, provided they don't fill the board with just blockers right now. Even if they drop 2 blockers on the board, we should still be able to get through. Alright, so they're going for the secret law, which, because we had less Don than they did, they don't get the heal. We played the 10 cost, we had less Don, they played this down. Now we ramp some because they attacked. So this just worked out perfectly. So yeah, we get the ramp. They don't get the life. Wait, they did get the life. Oh yeah, maybe we should have ramped our Don after. We didn't play that perfectly. We should have ramped our Don on the second attack. But there's a 10 cost from the top of the deck. That's going to be game here. There's no way they can stop this now. So we go for the blockers first. We'll get, you know, the next highest attacker. They've effectively got at most 3, and they end it there and there. They know that there's no coming back from that. And it's as simple as that. That is the way you take them down. You just got to play that 10 cost at the right time. And even if we didn't hit that 10 cost just then, if we just did the Viola Baby 5 combo here, you know, redirect into Baby 5, get a life, do a blocker with a Viola. There's, you know, sort of 3 taken care of. And then our last 2 life, we would have survived. So, and we would have had enough pressure for the following turn. So I think we would have been fine. And you know what? They would have had to use their blockers. The pressure we would have through our offense here would have caused them to lose their blockers, and we wouldn't have had to, I don't know, employ such drastic tactics to survive that next turn. So I think either way, we would have been fine. If we just did a massive offensive, they wouldn't have enough to hit back into us on the following turn. Anyway, that is the game. This is sort of how you take on the Rosie here. This is us going first. This is ideal for us. Not ideal for them. They want to go first. They're still going to have their curve either way because of the way this Rosie deck plays. This is how this deck plays. Hope you got something from this. Let's jump back into the guide. Thanks for checking out the guide, everyone. Really glad you could join me on this one here. You know, if you want to join me for more of these, hit that sub button and I'll get to see you on the next one. Now, I only did have one video lined up, and the reason being is the video I released the other day actually has a really good Rosinante match when I go second. So if you want to check that out, click this link up here and it'll take you to the video so you can see that match. Other than that, if you do want to see other guides, let me know in the comments what you're looking for, and hit sub so you make sure you don't miss them. Till next time, look after yourselves and look after your decks.